What is up, folks? My name is Caleb. Thank you for tuning in to Sinisterum once again. This week, we're talking about the Dyatlov Pass Incident, which, if you never heard of it, is a wild story from Russia out of, I think, the late 50s. And it is a bizarre tale, an unsolved mystery. It's about some hikers that go out into the dead mountains of Siberia, and nobody knows what happened to them. Bodies were found. They were in all sorts of weird conditions, but nothing adds up. So please take a seat, listen to the story, and then hear us dissect it. I hope you enjoy.
In February 1959, 9 hikers set out into the frozen Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. They never returned. Weeks later, their bodies were discovered under bizarre and horrifying circumstances. Their tent torn from the inside, their corpses scattered across the snow. Some half-dressed, some mutilated, and some showing signs that defied explanation. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. The hikers were young, experienced, and full of confidence. Led by Igor Dyatlov, they set out on what should have been a challenging but achievable trek through the Ural Mountains. They laughed, took photos, kept journals. The trip was supposed to earn them a top hiking certification. But on the night of February 1st, as they camped on the snowy slopes of Kolatsiakl, ominously named Dead Mountain by the local Mansi people, something went terribly, irreversibly wrong. When the hikers failed to return, a search party was launched. What they found was chilling. Their tent was located on the mountainside, slashed open from the inside. Inside were boots, coats, food, even money, all left behind, as if the group had fled in panic. The bodies were discovered in stages. 2, nearly naked, were found under a cedar tree, barefoot in the snow. 3 more lay scattered beneath the tree and the tent, as if trying to crawl back to safety. Months later, the remaining 4 were found in a ravine. Their injuries stunned investigators. One woman was missing her tongue and eyes. Another had massive chest fractures, injuries said to be like a car crash, yet with no external wounds. Trace amounts of radiation were detected on their clothing. What could cause 9 experienced hikers to abandon their tent, half-dressed in sub-zero temperatures? Some say a sudden snowslide drove them to flee, but no real avalanche evidence was found. Others believe they stumbled into secret Soviet experiments, the radiation, the trauma, the cover-up. Whispers of UFOs, strange lights in the sky, and otherworldly forces still circulate today. Some scientists suggest powerful winds created a low-frequency sound that triggered panic and disorientation, driving the hikers mad. But none of these explanations fully fit. The Dyatlov Pass incident became more than just a tragedy. It became legend. In Russia, it's spoken of with dread. Globally, it's one of the most analyzed and argued over mysteries in modern history. Books, documentaries, and endless internet debates keep the story alive. Yet, for all the theories and speculation, one truth remains. 9 lives ended in terror on a silent, snowbound mountain. Over 60 years later, the snow still falls on Dyatlov Pass. The winds still howl through Dead Mountain. But the questions linger. What drove 9 strong, intelligent hikers into the freezing dark? Why were their bodies found in such unnatural states? And who or what still haunts that mountain slope? This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, a mystery carved into ice where the only witnesses are the dead and the mountain itself.
Well, welcome back to Sinisterum today. My name is Caleb. Great to have you guys here. As you've seen already today, we are talking about the Dyatlov Pass Incident, which is one of my favorites. What a wild story. It is such a bizarre tale of exploration and maybe paranormal activity, but certainly a great tragedy in Russia. And so we're going to talk about that today. Today, I am joined, as always, with my brother Josh. Say hi, Josh.
Hello.
And Papa Jefe.
Hello, everybody.
How you guys doing this week?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Right on. Josh, how about you?
Doing pretty good, besides the fact that I'm closer to 50 than being born.
Oh, yes. Josh is on the
Turn.
losing side of 25 now.
Yep.
Such an old man.
Yep.
And you know what that makes me?
Ancient Jeff.
Ancient Jeff. That's right.
Yep.
Remember that?
When I was in high school, there was like
Plastic Jeff.
3 or 4 Jeffs. We called one guy Plastic Jeff. I don't remember why. Then we had Genuine Jeff, and then Dad was Ancient Jeff. So
Plastic Jeff was always acted fake. That's what it was.
I think that he just moved to town after Genuine Jeff had already been there. So we
Oh.
called him Plastic Jeff because he wasn't the real Jeff. So,
Hey.
yeah. Well, Josh and I were just in Seattle last week. Was that last week? Or was that 2 weeks ago? That must have been
I don't
2
know.
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
It's flying by.
I can't even. That was 2 weeks ago because last week we were in Warland with you guys. So, yeah, for those of you who
Summer's
don't know,
been a
we
blur,
live.
hasn't it?
Yeah, we live in South Dakota and Wyoming, so we're out in the middle of nowhere, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys see the Cracker Barrel rebrand?
I heard they were going to do it, and a lot of people are upset the way that they're changing the decor inside, and also, yeah, they're changing the logo, and some people are upset about that. Makes me wonder if they're going to stop eating at that place.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like they're removing, I don't know, Americana, which is sad. But I've actually never eaten at Cracker Barrel. Have you?
Once.
Once. What about you,
Yeah.
Josh?
I think I had pancakes there once, maybe. If that's the right
Nice.
restaurant. You know what restaurant sucks? Golden
What restaurant
Corral.
sucks? The Golden
Golden.
Corral is a white trash person's dream, and I love it because I'm white trash.
Except in the one, do you remember when we were in Rock Springs?
That was
Yeah,
disgusting.
I do. I do
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
I start grabbing the silverware and everything, and I look at the silverware and they're like things stuck to the forks and the knives and everything. I'm going, oh my goodness. And I'm supposed to eat.
Nice.
It was nasty.
Actually, we took the girls there probably a month and a half ago because we thought it would be a way to appease toddlers because there's everything you can imagine there. And we still had a meltdown in the middle of it, so probably won't do that again. We went for lunch because like dinner is like $20 a plate or something stupid like that.
That's crazy.
So, but Josh did get me kind of cultured because we went to not Famous Dave's Hot Chicken in Billings.
Ah,
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
nice.
Pretty good.
Where's that at in Billings?
By
By Shields.
Shields.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more to explore in that area. Then it's pretty new out there.
Billings is a lot different than when I was a kid.
Man,
Dave's Hot Chicken is really good. I don't know if I could handle
Good.
the Reaper, the hottest flavor, but
well,
the
didn't you
Reaper-
win a T-shirt like at Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that for the hottest?
Yeah, I did the Buffalo Wild Wing challenge, and I had to sign a waiver.
Nice.
Let me just tell you,
Did you-
it
did
burnt
you do it?
twice. Yeah,
Well, that's the worst.
yeah. Would not recommend.
Well, you know who wishes they probably had the Reaper? The 9 people in the Dyatlov Pass Incident, because they died in a blizzard.
Yeah,
Yep. So
that's one way to heat them up.
I mean, yep. Too bad there was no Dave's Hot Chicken in the middle of the Russian wilderness.
The Ural Mountains.
Yep. Oh, horrible segue. Let's start talking about this. This is pretty wild. I have listened to a lot of things on this over the years because I like true crime and I like paranormal things, and this one kind of could hit into both. And so there's a bunch of theories that we'll walk through and talk about. But wanted to check with you guys. Do you have any initial thoughts before I dive in?
I just don't trust Igor. Anyone with that name is a little sketch.
Yeah.
Ah,
I don't.
like
or
a
Russian
hunchback
people
or
in general.
something. A hunchback.
Yeah. Is that what that was his name? Wasn't that in
Hunchback
Oh,
in
you
Notre
know-
Dame, isn't it?
no, that's
Igor?
Quasimodo.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Quasimodo. But Igor, I think, is from Young Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Yeah, he was also a
Probably other
hunchback.
things too.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah. I have watched Red Dawn too many times, and I just don't trust Russian people. So sorry if you're Russian.
Well, I grew up during the Cold War, and I have my theories on this. I think it's
Yeah.
a combination. It could be a combination of things, actually.
Well, let's not say what we think all the way through yet. Let's walk through some things. So let's get started with some of the initial theories. I went through and I picked the ones that are like the most popular. I'm sure there's much more because this case has been around for a long time. What was it? This 79? Is that what it was? Or is it older than that? 59.
59.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1959.
So this has been around for quite a while.
Mhm.
The main theories, we've got an avalanche or a slab avalanche. A lot of people think that. And actually, the scientific consensus that has been brought out in recent years says that it's an avalanche, which we can talk about that in a little bit. I'm just going to gloss over these. Avalanche, katabatic wind, which I can only assume is just a type of wind that's, affects large areas. It's fast. It can probably affect snow as well. The infrasound panic, which I had never heard of. That one seems a little outlandish to me.
Mhm.
Paradoxical undressing or hypothermia behavior. I think that could be plausible, but we'll get into it. Military tests, parachute mines, or a rocket mishap. So obviously this was in, Soviet Russia. And so all of those military things shouldn't probably be discredited right away. And then lastly, the supernatural paranormal theories, UFOs, Yetis, or Bigfoot, or things like that. So I wore this hat because you might know what I think. But
Oh, of course.
before we get into in too deep into these, I just want to say that I didn't mention in the actual storytelling that there actually was a survivor. Did you guys know that?
I thought there were no survivors.
There were no survivors of the people who were up on the mountain, but there was a survivor that went on the trek and he turned back early, and his name is Yuri Yudin.
Oh,
And so what
gotcha.
happened, he was a 20-year-old student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute, just like they all were. So why he survived, he shortly after they started the expedition, he developed severe rheumatism and sciatica pain in his knee and back. And because of this, he turned back early near the settlement of Vizhay, while the other 9 continued toward the pass. And so I think he's still alive. And actually, I want to say one of the documentaries I watched, I don't think he appeared on camera, but he talked to the producer. And so he had a lot to say about it. But anyways, his decision to turn back spared his life. And obviously it haunted him because he had survivor's guilt. And
Oh, yeah.
so it says, he's given many interviews over the years. He believes the hikers' deaths were linked to military testing and a possible cover-up, not simply natural causes. So I think that's important, because the one sole survivor says that it's not, a natural cause. That shouldn't be taken too lightly, I think.
Plus he's from that area.
Right. Exactly. And all of these hikers were very, very skilled, and they had done this multiple times, not just in that area, but obviously if you're willing to go out in that kind of weather, you know what you're doing. Plus they were, en route to get a certification by doing this trip. And so, yeah, they were all really experienced. So it's not like they were just going out and doing God knows what, God knows when. So anything you guys want to say about that before we move on?
Well, I kind of looked up a little information about the Ural Mountains, and at different peaks there, the elevation is like 18,000 feet. And so, and if you've seen any pictures of it, it's rugged territory. So these guys, the 9 hikers, before they even went, they must have been pretty, they were experts at it. I can't imagine, the snow depths, and I know in 1959, there were the equipment back there isn't like we have today for mountaineering, that sort of thing. But still, for 1959, that was quite a challenge, and I'm sure that if they were going to do this, they really thought it through. It's not like, hey, let's go for a hike. They thought it through before they even went on this.
Yeah, I think they're actually all part of a group, like a club, as part of the school that they all were part of, where they went out regularly and went hiking. And so it was something that was very normal, and it wasn't unusual for them to be gone for days and days, because this trip was, I think, a few weeks long. It was scheduled to be a few weeks long. So,
and I also know that these type of people and living in this area and that type of terrain, I mean, they're avid snowshoers. They know how to cross country ski, and so I'm sure they had some of that equipment with them as well.
For sure. What about you, Josh? Any initial thoughts on these before we dive in?
I just think it's a little fishy that Yuri turned back. I don't know.
You're like always the skeptic. You're like, someone's horrible. Someone's gonna kill all these people.
He was part of it.
Yeah,
he was the killer. Great, Josh.
Like the guy. What was the one? The one with Brian. We did it a couple weeks ago with the guy in the bar at the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Like there was one tiny mention of the girlfriend. You're like, she killed him.
And this is a perfect time to go into our first segment, sponsored by Dave's Hot Chicken. All right, this segment, we're going to have Papa Hefe rank the top 10 ways to die. But he doesn't know what's coming next. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Are you ready, Papa Hefe?
I believe so.
All right, here comes the 10 weird ways you can die or could die.
Okay.
Number 1, death by vending machine.
Death by vending machine.
You gotta rank that. You gotta rank that 1 to 10.
You're shaking the vending machine because your chips got stuck, and that thing tips over.
Death by vending machine.
You get schmicked.
Oh no, and no one wants to get schmicked that way. So I'm gonna say a 7.
All right, I'm putting it down.
And these are all true ways that people have died. So
someone actually died by a vending machine.
Yes.
Okay, that's crazy.
Okay.
All right, what's
Here's
next?
the next one. Death by beard. In the 1500s, a man was running away from the fire, and his beard was so long that he tripped on it and got engulfed by the flames.
That must have been a freaking dope beard.
That's horrible. I don't know. Fire really scares me, and that would be a horrible death. No, I don't want that. Say 9. 9. Ah,
Okay. Next one. Death by carrot juice overdose.
That sounds like something that would happen to Mom. She better be careful.
no. I can't imagine because, I mean, if you drink too much carrot juice, you must
You turn orange.
orange, squirting at both ends.
You got some dang good eyesight, though.
So you see yourself die very clearly.
2020.
There's got to be an amount of abdominal pain and other schmick. I'm going to say 6.
6.
I think it's a good way to go out.
I mean, I'd freaking.
Oh, I keep
You
going.
can't go back. Okay. Death by a falling coconut.
I like that one. I want to die.
You
that
know
way.
what? The weight of a coconut and everything and a big old, that'd probably bash your skull and you'd probably die rather quickly. I'm going to say 3.
Next one. Death by a scarf.
Oh, must be
Strangulation.
some kind of strangulation or something like that. Death by a scarf. You got cut around your neck or whatever, and you ugh. I'll say 8. Is that slot taken yet? Number 8?
Nope, you're good.
Oh,
You still got 1, 2, 4, 5, and 10.
1, 2, 4,
All
5,
right.
and 10. Okay.
Death by a lawn ornament, such as a gnome.
Death by like a gnome? Well, that tells me okay. Goodness.
You got a gnome to
If
the dome.
if it's got a pointy head, I fall on it, then I got impaled.
Gnome
if
to
it
the
fell, or what's that?
dome. You got a gnome to
Death
the
by-
dome.
Gnome to the I don't have much protection up here either. That if it came down on my head, it kind of ranks up there with
I think you'd go
With the
down on its
coconut.
head.
I'll say 4.
Death by gnome.
We got 3 more. Death.
4 more. Should have 4 more.
4 more. Death by a robot.
By a robot?
That's
There
coming
was a man in
anyways.
Japan.
Oh. Do I have 5? A man in Japan got killed by a robot? Can I say number 5? Do I have number 5 open?
Yep.
Okay. Well, what happened?
Death by extreme laughter.
I'm going to say number 1. And I'll tell you why,
agree.
because I love to laugh. And what a way to go out laughing. You know what I mean? Probably had a heart attack or whatever, or a brain aneurysm of some sort when he's laughing very hard. Gut, you know, belly laugh type of thing. I'd be okay laughing and then that. Yeah.
Hell of a way to die.
What else we got?
Death by champagne cork.
Oh, dude.
I don't even know where that cork's going.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, really.
You just got friggin' corked. Are you talking about a butt cork?
Cork, schmicked. I don't know. That sounds pretty bad. Uh, I bet it's like trying to take a cork out of a wine bottle and then choking on it.
I think it probably clocks you in the forehead like David and Goliath.
Okay, so wait a minute. Now where oh yeah. So how many what numbers do I still have open?
You have 2 and 10.
Let's say I'll have to say 2 on that one.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, last one.
Yeah.
Death by cursed object on eBay that you ordered, such as Chomper.
Chomper.
No, that's number 10 by default.
It's gonna have to be number 10 by default. Yeah.
So I guess your worst way going out is the death by cursed object. Your best way is death by extreme laughter.
Well, no wonder. Well, yeah. And if you're thinking about death by, the Tonka Chomper, I think it was made by Tonka, right? I think so.
I think
Anyway,
so.
no wonder why you guys were so scared of it.
Yeah, the freaking glowing eyes.
Oh, yeah. With the battery lasts how many years? I bet that thing is still talking.
In the dump somewhere.
Same battery from the very beginning, never been changed.
Well, if you like that segment, make sure to comment below and put your answers on what you think would fit best.
I want to know the stories behind those. That's pretty incredible.
We should do shorts about those. That'd be kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Back to the story here. So let's walk through these. Avalanche. I'm going to tell you why they wouldn't be true, the cases to be made why they wouldn't be true.
Okay.
So why the avalanche may not be true. There were no clear signs of avalanche debris recorded by the rescuers, such as displaced snow, trees knocked down.
Right.
The slope was relatively mild, only a 23-degree slope, which is below the typical avalanche, which is typically 30 to 45 degrees. Some of the bodies were found with severe internal injuries, but minimal external trauma, which is unusual.
Right.
Which that is one of the ones that I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tent remained partially visible above the snow, suggesting it was not completely buried. Okay.
Okay.
Then we got I think you say katabatic or katabatic wind. Why it might not be true. No documented evidence of katabatic wind that night. Weather reports indicate cold, but no hurricane force winds. Those type of winds tend to affect large areas, yet only this group was impacted in a relatively small area. Other expeditions nearby did not report similar conditions. And this also would not explain the traumatic injuries like skull fractures, rib breaks on some of the hikers.
Wait a minute. You just said something. So there were other expeditions that were nearby?
Apparently, I mean, I'm sure that there were other people in the mountains somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
But all that to be said is like if this type of wind affects a large area, so even
Yes.
people who were in surrounding villages would have been able to tell, that was happening. So then we got the infrasound panic, which a scientist came up with. And so why this may not be true, there were no proof of infrasound causes there's no proof that infrasound causes uncontrollable panic in humans to the point of fleeing barefoot into lethal cold. It also doesn't explain why some of the hikers built shelters and tried survival tactics, showing rational behavior and not blind panic. And lastly, it cannot account for the severe physical injuries that we've already talked about. Then we've got the paradoxical undressing or the hypothermia behavior. So why that could not be true. It doesn't explain why the hikers left a functional tent with food, gear, and clothing in the first place. Some hikers were actually found with extra clothing taken from others, showing rational effort to survive. And again, this doesn't explain the traumatic injuries, fractured ribs, missing eyes, and tongue. Then we've got the military test. Why it may not be true. No official evidence of military operations at that exact time and place. But then why would you know that there were military things. Parachute mine injuries would likely leave more external wounds or shrapnel, and the rescuers found none. The radiation levels on the clothing were elevated, but not beyond levels common in that Soviet industry during that time. For example, some hikers worked in radioactive environments. And then the rocket ship or the rocket mishap theory that was revived in 2025 remains speculative and lacks physical evidence. There was no crash site, debris, or official records. And then lastly, the supernatural or paranormal theories, UFOs, Yetis, etc. Why those may not be true, there were no credible physical evidence supporting UFOs, aliens, or cryptid attack. The injuries, the crushed chest and skull, are consistent with natural forces, not claws, teeth, or abduction. And then the glowing orbs reported in the sky could have been natural atmospheric phenomena like ball lightning or military flares. So,
Hey,
each theory answers some questions but fails on others. Natural causes explain the cold exposure, disorganization, but not the traumatic injuries. Military causes explain the trauma and the secrecy, but lack direct evidence. And the paranormal causes appeal to the imagination, but collapse under scrutiny. That's a lie. Okay. What do you guys think? What's your gut tell you?
well, Josh, you gonna start us off?
The thing that throws me off is like, obviously it makes sense if there was some sort of avalanche for like their bones to be crushed and stuff. But then the thing that throws me off is their tongues and eyes missing. So I have no idea. I think it's aliens.
Well, I mean, I also kind of, think about the paranormal and probably lean a little bit that way. But one thing I was thinking about when Dad was talking about um, altitude sickness is that actually can cause hallucinations. And because those mountains are high, I'm not exactly sure how high they were, what point they were at specifically in this. But if you get up high, like I've watched documentaries about guys who climb, Everest and stuff, and they actually start to hallucinate and stuff. So the first thing that always tripped me up was like that they slashed the tent from the inside. And so clearly that was something happening inside of them. So, that could be a lack of oxygen where they start freaking out and hallucinating, and they slash the inside of the tent to get out. And then from there, you're kind of screwed, obviously, because it's not like you can repair your tent if you slash it all up. So at that point, you could start to think rationally once you come to, or maybe you start breathing a little bit better. I don't know. But the biggest thing that always trips me up about this case, and well, real quick before I go there, the other thing about the eyes and the tongue, I mean, I personally think that there was probably some sort of an animal that came and maybe got to that one lady's eyes and tongue, but you would think that they would go to the other bodies as well. So maybe there was just there's an order to which they died. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe they chased the animal off.
Uh-huh.
But again, the biggest thing that I just don't understand is like the girl who had the incredible internal trauma, but like little or no external trauma on her, because it was compared to a car crash. If you have like your ribs cracked and crushed, but then the outside of your body is like pretty like relatively fine, I have no idea why that would happen. So
It's got
I
to
don't
be
know.
some
Those three.
It's got to be some sort of like blunt force that is just super hard, but not sharp enough to cut up the outside.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think there was bruising on the outside. So that's what is confusing to me. It's like, so that's why it makes me lean into the like paranormal type of
Well,
thing.
There's two things I'm thinking about. Can I give you one at a time, or what do you
Yeah.
what do you want?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I grew up during the Cold War, and in 1959, the Soviet Union was already in place, already against the United States. The Korean War had already happened in the early 1950s. We're talking 1950, 1953, that time. And that whole thing was about the Cold War. 1959, you're getting ready to get into the 60s. I know things are right around that time. Probably, I can't remember exactly what year was it. 1964 that Vietnam was starting to escalate. Anyway, the whole idea is that we were not, and still pretty much are not friends with Russia. And so, and back then there was the arms race, especially after the atomic bomb in World War II. And so I know the United States covers things up. The Russians for sure cover things up. Look what just happened recently. Trump tries to do these peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, and like the very next day, what's Putin do? He goes and he bombs between a NATO border and Ukraine, and that was during these peace talks and everything. So I think it's big time cover up, and I think it had something to do with nuclear testing and that sort of thing. Now, I know, and you guys know, when you feel heavy bass, like with music, you kind of feel that internal, and it shakes things up. So if you can think of like, when you think of like something nuclear, it can shake your internal organs up, things like that. That's my thoughts on that. Cover up, being out in the wilderness. Here in the United States, when we were going through testing, we even did some nuclear testing in New Mexico. Los Alamos is what it's called. I wrote it down. Trinity Site, Los Alamos. All those nuclear tests, and there were people that were out there that have died of cancer since because of all the radiation. So that's one of my. I think that could have been part of it, and the whole cover up. And you know what? It may come out what the United States did in nuclear testing here, but the Russians, completely different culture. There's a lot of things they did, even covering up how many people Stalin killed of his own people within the borders of Russia. More people than that were killed in the Holocaust is what I've heard. So
Yeah, that's what I've heard
lots
too.
of cover up. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was reading a survival book because I'm kind of I like that kind of stuff. And it was talking about surviving nuclear blasts and stuff like that. And you're supposed to get to the middle of your house at the bottom, the bottom most part of your house. But it said that if I remember right, I think you're supposed to get flat on your face and close your eyes and like try to cover your face, because like the aftershocks alone, I think it said like if it hit, I'm trying to remember, if you hit like on the East Coast, we'd have like 10 minutes or something like that to get on to do this. But you got to get on flat on your face, and then it will hopefully protect like your lungs and your eyes and
Right.
that kind of thing from the aftershock. So if you're that close to them testing this,
Yes.
I agree. I think that that's something that could happen. The only thing that is so troubling to me and bizarre is that you would think that that would have been seen in everybody, and it was just one girl. And so it's like, so I don't know, like if maybe she went to the top of a hill to, I don't know, pee or something like that, and then she happened to be the one that got hit with it. I have no idea, but I agree. That seems like the most likely to me is like
it
some
does
sort of an
to me.
aftershock.
Well, and I remember one time I went to a Civil War reenactment, and they told us to put our hands over our ears like this, kind of cup them backwards, and it helped out with the not only sound but the shock of the real cannons that were going off. And so it's got some power just with sound waves. That's sound waves alone, but I can't imagine radiation.
Well, they even use, I think, I mean, you never know what's real anymore, but I've heard that you can use, or they test at least, the use of certain frequencies and sound waves to treat certain tumors, certain things
Right.
like to break things up in your body that need to be broken
Kidney
up. And
stones.
so, yeah,
Kidney.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like, if that is left unchecked, then it's not actually being used for a medical purpose, but there's a huge just blast. I mean, you could definitely sustain injuries like that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what was the other thing you were going to talk about?
Well, the other thing is, I remember talking about this a lot with my dad too. You think of the vast oceans and places we have not been in the oceans, and even on in land where there's mountainous regions where people can't really even get to. I mean, you might have satellite where you can look down, that sort of thing. I still believe there are several different species of animal type creatures, whatever, that are alive that we don't even know about. And so I think of Yeti, Sasquatch, um, and the reason why
Chupacabras.
I think that too, I read a fascinating book, Chupacabras. Yeah, there you go, a cryptid type thing. Um, I saw a book not too long ago that my friend Bill gave me, that these cultures all through the ages have um, drawn these different pictures of like dragons and that sort of thing, and then did a comparison to what dinosaurs look like. What scientists think dinosaurs look like from their fossil remains or the bones and everything. And it's like, my goodness, that looks like a T-Rex. Oh my goodness, that looks like a from these pictures, but which really proven that, yeah, man was alive at the same time as the dinosaurs. Okay, they lived together. Anyway, so that's with dinosaurs. But I think that you've heard these different cultures talk about Yeti or Sasquatch and everything, and I think there's something to that. And so, like that whole thing, like a cut in the tent from the inside. They must have heard something. They were in their tent trying to get away. They have a big knife or whatever, and they're slashing, trying to get away from this, Yeti type creature, and trying to fight them off and that sort of thing. Um, and then trying to get away. That creature's trying to rip at their clothes, pull their clothes as they're trying to get away. Um, and I'm not saying that creature was the one that took out the eyes and the tongue and everything, because I mean, we live in South Dakota, Wyoming area. How many times have you seen a dead deer on the side and you see even, crows or ravens picking their eyes out or whatever, and picking parts off bodies? I saw an eagle the other day on the side ripping some flesh off of some. So, in mountainous regions, could have been a big eagle pulling the eyes out of this one gal or the tongue. It just, I mean, I know it's sick sounding, but those thoughts cross my mind too. So yeah, I think there are creatures that are out there that have not yet been discovered and have a way of hiding. And I know I keep talking, but I'll give you an example. What is it? Is it in? Oh goodness, Everest. What's that mountain range right there with Everest in Nepal? Um, my geography. Anyway, aren't there like snow leopards that live in those high mountains? And they're very, very elusive, and they're even hard to photograph and see just the way that they are. So, some of these same places, there's people that have talked about these bigger creatures like Yeti or whatever that are in those mountain regions that, yeah, they know how to not be seen and have plenty of places to hide. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm going to go a little bit deep here. So
Oh, here we go.
I agree. I think that there are creatures and or entities that people don't like to think about, or maybe they just write it off and blow it off as myth. But I believe in Sasquatch. I believe in those type of things. Not to say that they're just a random. Some people think it's just an ape, but if we really believe, and we're Christians, so if we really believe in a supernatural worldview and that demons and God exist, then there are things that we just don't know about
Yeah.
because we haven't experienced all of them. And so, and one thing I like to talk about is, Michael Heiser in the Unseen Realm. Well, for example, that by I think it was the indigenous people. I brought it up in the dramatic retelling, but they called that mountain the Dead Mountain. I don't know why that is, but that seems spooky, and I'd have to look it up. But this is just speculation, obviously. But I mean, Dead Mountain doesn't sound like a place you want to be.
Okay, so
And
wait a minute. Are you talking about the indigenous people in the Ural Mountains?
yeah,
Okay.
I
yeah.
think they were indigenous. I can't
Yeah, they're
remember.
called the Mansi.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
So if they call that place the Dead Mountain, I'm sure there are stories from their culture that talk about creepy things that happen or things like that. And there's those things all over the world as you get into different cultures. But based off of, research and things and interpretations that like Dr. Michael Heiser has done, we talk about uh geopolitics and like the supernatural, the unseen realm, about God giving geological places over to different demons or like different principalities, because the Bible says we don't war against flesh and blood, we war against the evil and the principalities of this world. And so Michael Heiser talks about how different geological realms have been given over to these principalities until Jesus renews all things and takes back what is ultimately his. And so, I mean, who's to say? And this makes me think about a friend of ours who lives in China, and Hannah went over to be, went over to China to be in her wedding. But all of this village worshiped this one God who had been there. They'd worshipped him for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it's like, that's a principality, in my view, that has geological control over that region. And
Demonic.
yeah, and who's to say that that is not the case in the Dead Mountain, and there's things like that going on like that. That's something that I like to speculate about. But the other thing is, we think about the Nephilim in the Bible and how it says the sons of God had kids with the daughters of men, and then this created like the Nephilim. And so, and they were, I think they were giants. And so that's where you get like Goliath and people like that and other things. But that reminds me of the giant. Have you guys heard of the giant of Kandahar? You have? So the giant of Kandahar was apparently, and some people think it's a myth, but there's been people that have come out and talked about this, who they found this giant apparently in Afghanistan in the Kandahar Mountains. They came across a cave that was littered with human bones and military gear. And then they saw this massive red-haired humanoid, 12 to 15 feet tall, 6-fingered hands, moccasin-like foot coverings. And he allegedly speared, this American soldier. And then they ended up shooting him and killing him. And he was airlifted out. And then it was like covered up and nobody ever saw it again. Obviously, it's probably easy for people to write that off. But things like that, I'm like, that sounds like Bigfoot to me, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
It just makes my mind go like this.
I know. And so all that to say, like, who knows if that kind of thing exists in the Dead Mountains. Go ahead, Josh.
It kind of reminds me of like what you're saying about people worshiping or giving or doing some sort of ceremonies to these things or objects. It opens up the opportunity for like demons to have authority. So like if someone's worshiping a statue, it's not just some sort of statue. Like it opens up it gives that statue authority for a demon to step into that place and kind of take control of it.
Yeah. You probably saw it. Did you experience any of that when you were in Thailand?
Yeah. So I went into a big Buddhist temple, and they were like, you climb all the way to the top, but all the way along there's like these Buddhists that were super important in their religion or something. I don't know, not Buddhists, monks. There's different monks all the way, like statues of monks all the way going to the top, and they looked like really real and kind of
Hindu?
creepy. And then at the top, there was just a bunch of people like bowing down and crying at this weird statue thing. Like, I don't even know what it was, but they were like praying to it and bowing down. And this whole time, you could just feel this really heavy presence, and it was almost kind of hard to breathe. And it was just really interesting because you could feel like something was there, and it did not feel good.
Yeah, darkness is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, with our friend, I mean, in China, like she was very sick as a little girl, and so her grandmother took her to these idols and this temple, and she actually sacrificed her, not obviously not human sacrifice, but like dedicated her to this spirit or this I don't know, entity, I guess. And she did, because our friend was really sick, and so she ended up getting better. But then the caveat was, okay, now you have to basically serve this thing for the rest of your life out of, thanksgiving, essentially. And so, I mean, we know that, God ultimately allows things to happen. We look at the story of Job, where Satan asked if he could tempt Job, and he had to get permission from God. But so this thing was not acting complete, like outside of God's ability. But I just think that's super interesting, because there are, like, I think a lot of times in the West, we just think that demons or like Satan is just like a toothless lion, but the Bible says that he's prowling around looking for to steal, kill, and destroy. So I think that that's a fair warning, and I know that's a big rabbit trail to go on, but that's what it reminds me of. Like in this, it's like it may not be something that is flesh and blood that we're thinking about, because it doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Well, it's one thing. For one thing, it's not something that you want to mess around with. It's
yeah, but I mean, I think it's fair to talk about, and it's So I don't know. Personally, I think that it has to be. My mind goes to it's either a military thing where it's like this blast that somehow only affected the internals of this one girl, or it's something like that where it's like this evil supernatural thing. And so those are my two kind of big takeaways from this. And I've thought about this over and over because I've listened to a lot of things on this case. I would love to. It's too bad. I'm sure people always try to get Yuri. Is that what his name was? Yuri.
check. The guy that was a survivor that didn't go all the way up.
Yeah. Yuri Yudin. He's got to be. He was 21 years old when this happened, so I think he's still alive, but he's got to be old. But I'm sure people try to talk to him all the time, and I'm sure he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. But man, that would be so fun to talk to him and just kind of learn a little bit about the area, because obviously we're on the other side of the world, and trying to speculate is fun.
It's also weird about it. And at first when I read this story about the missing eyes and the missing tongue and everything, Mom and I watched Unsolved Mysteries not too long ago. One of the newer ones, not the old ones from the 80s, but one of the newer ones on Netflix. And one of them was these ranchers, these cattle ranchers that maybe you've seen it. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to do
Skinwalker Ranch.
Well, I can't remember. Anyway, it's these different ranches that are finding these mutilated cows where they're their tongues are missing or their eyes, and it almost looks like it's surgically removed, and then they're left for dead. And so, and I want to say it happened in Washington and Oregon area, because these different ranchers were talking about it, and then it's happened in Texas and other states. But that was the first thing that came to mind when with this lady missing, those things out in the wilderness and everything. But it's just, yeah, weird wackadoo stuff that's out there and everything. And like you said, I mean, there's a lot of things in the unseen that we don't know about. And man, all I know is I just keep my eyes on the Lord
Yeah,
through it all.
for
Yeah,
sure. Well, he's ultimately victorious, so we can,
that's right.
we can rejoice in that, which is awesome. But it is fun to speculate and think about this stuff because, people are evil, and there's things that, as we talk about true crime, sometimes the scariest monsters are the real ones.
Yeah, really.
But also, I mean, I do believe in the paranormal and the supernatural realm, and so we just and obviously, I don't think you can know everything about that until we get to heaven. But man, but it's fun to speculate. So
For sure.
Josh, what about you? Is there anything else anything that we didn't bring up that you want to talk about? Or are we going to go into our second?
I just think that people named Igor still give me the heebie-jeebies.
I think Igor's messing with your internet still in Worland.
It is better this time.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I don't know. There's something. I don't want to. Never mind. I almost said something really bad. But there are certain names that you hear that's like, I should be careful. I'll leave it at that.
You said something about, some of these Mansi people. And there was also that thought that maybe the Mansi people killed them. And I found out that there's supposed to be this non-violent group that actually got along with the Russians. But you mentioned that they call this Dead Mountain or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating. If you know something about a place, you kind of name it about that. Like, for instance, I was just thinking when you brought that up, like in the Bighorn Mountains, there's Crazy Woman Creek.
Yeah.
Crazy Woman. It's like, well, there must have been at one point a woman lost her mind, some pioneer out there. Yeah. Or yeah. And so you got all these different names for different places. And so, yeah, that I just thought that was kind of fascinating. Dry Creek. Well, there might have been a place, at one time they thought they were going to get water, and then all of a sudden, oh man, no water in it. But it looks like there used to be or something. False Bottom Creek here in
yeah.
What about Athol, Idaho?
Athol, Idaho. What? What's that?
It's just a guy that has a lisp, and he was trying to call someone a bad name.
Well, I know about a place that sounds kind of like that. That's in Idaho. Yeah.
That's what Josh said. He said Athol, Idaho.
Oh, I thought I didn't hear you completely there, but Athol, Idaho. Yeah, I get it. I'll leave that one alone.
All right. Well, we're going to kick it out with one last fun segment. I got 10 crazy true crime facts about Russia because we're talking about Russia today. So we're going to go through and burn these into your mind so you don't sleep tonight. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. The first one. These are all from Russia. The chessboard killer played with his victims like pawns. His name was Alexander Pichushkin, nicknamed the chessboard killer, wanted to murder 64 people, one for every square on a chessboard. By the time he was caught in 2006, he had killed at least 48.
Oh my goodness.
That's wild.
It's wild.
All right, number 2. The butcher of Rostov was a school teacher. Andrei Chikatilo. I don't know how to speak Russian. One of the world's most infamous serial killers was a married father and school teacher who killed 52 people between 1978 in 1990, often preying on children and teenagers.
Messed up.
Number 3, cannibalism in Soviet Russia was not rare. So during famines like the Holodomor in the 1930s and World War II's siege of Leningrad, authorities documented thousands of cases of cannibalism. It even entered Russian criminal code language as a charge.
Do they have ketchup in Russia?
They use blood.
That's gross.
I don't know, but I mean, you think about it. We were talking about
Mess.
Stalin. You heard about the gulags. I mean, those were brutal conditions, and so I mean, probably some of those cases of cannibalism were like these people are starving and they can't eat anything else. So, okay, number 4. What were you gonna say? Are we throwing
I
up?
was just kind of blowing up in my mouth a little bit. Hang on.
I'm gonna put the Lloyd Christmas gif of you throwing up. Okay, number 4. A killer cop hunted his own victims. Mikhail Popkov, known as the Werewolf, was a Siberian police officer who used his badge to lure women. He confessed to 83 murders, making him Russia's most prolific serial killer.
Good night.
I think America has some wild serial killers, but they're not doing numbers like these guys. That's pretty wild.
Well, I bet they're not getting caught.
Well, maybe, but even like, I mean, people like John Wayne Gacy, he killed like 27 or 37 people, but 83? How do you go that long without being...
Speaking of missing person, where'd Josh go?
But we'll keep going here. Number 5, it's amazing. We just covered this. The Dyatlov Pass might be a crime. It might be a crime. That's one of the theories. In 1959, 9 hikers died in the Ural Mountains. We've been talking about that. Most explanations lean on avalanches or accidents, but some theorize a secret Soviet cover-up or violent crime. You never know. I think we already solved that. So, number 6, the Novokuznetsk cannibals sold meat pies. So this in the late 1990s, a gang of cannibals in Siberia not only killed and ate their victims, but allegedly sold human meat.
Wait a minute, a gang of them?
Yeah, in Siberia, not only killed and ate their victims, but allegedly sold human meat disguised as kebabs and pies at local food markets. Gosh, have you ever seen Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street?
I couldn't watch it I couldn't watch it.
That's what that reminds me of. Okay, number 7, Russia had a real house of horrors. In 2018, a couple from Krasnodar was arrested for killing and eating multiple victims. Police found jars of preserved body parts and photos of dismembered corpses on their phones.
What is going on with the Russian cannibals?
I mean, I don't know. Putin.
Which, man, maybe back to our story. Maybe it was a kind of a crime like this. Who knows?
It could be, but man, that was in 2018. That was 7 years ago. It's wild.
It's messed up.
Number 8, a grave robber collected 29 corpses. Anatoly Moskvin, I think I've heard of this one, a historian from Nizhny Novgorod, was arrested in 2011 for digging up 29 girls' bodies and dressing them as dolls in his apartment. He claimed they were his children.
Oh my gosh.
Good night. We might have to do a show on that one. That's wild.
Oh man.
We'll have to start
when we do that show, it better be during the daytime like this.
You're gonna be sick that day.
Yeah.
We need to have a segment called Freak Out My Dad.
No.
Okay. Number 9. We're almost done. A teen murdered with a hammer in broad daylight. In 2011, 15-year-old Daniil Volkov brutally killed classmates in the street with a hammer, reportedly inspired by horror movies and violent video games. Let me just say, we're lucky to have firearms in the United States, but even if we didn't and they were all taken away, people will still find a way to kill each other with hammers because it's a human condition. And lastly, the
The Russian mafia is everywhere. From the 1990s Wild East era, when the Soviet Union collapsed, Russian organized crime spread worldwide. At one point, the FBI claimed that the Russian mob was more powerful than the Italian mafia in the U.S.
And they're worldwide.
Yes, at one, yeah.
And we had open borders at one point.
At one point, not too long ago. So, if you see a guy named Igor at the grocery store, Josh, you're right to not trust him.
Told
He's
you.
probably part of a. Yep. So.
Can't trust him.
Can't trust him. Freaking Igor. All right. Well, with that depressing episode, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will be back soon to talk about our next case. And as we continue, we're going to keep honing this in. We're going to have some fun segments, hopefully ones that don't make you throw up like maybe this one did. And we'll talk about some more cool cases and hopefully get into some more paranormal stuff and possibly some conspiracy theories and things like that. So if you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. This is Sinisterum. Please like, share, subscribe. And if you have the chance, one thing that really helps is if you give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform, and that helps us to be found by other people who like similar content. So thank you for listening. Hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.